welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. On a Wednesday, it's hump day, and yeah, it's a pretty big news day because the President of the United States is going to be impeached today, and really don't say that very often, right? The last time we said that was, the days of Bill Clinton, and guess what? I was a toddler. Well, I wasn't a toddler, but I was very young, and I wasn't on the radio. Let's put it that way. Yeah. So the guy we have with us on the line right now, obviously a former governor out there of Massachusetts. Very recently, he just put his name in the ring, or in the hat, so to speak, as a Democrat running for the President of the United States. Deval Patrick joining us on the line. Governor, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for having me, and thank you for your understanding yesterday. Our flight out was late.
Oh, no problem.
I landed. We had snow back in Boston, and I landed. I think just as you guys were going off the air. So Thanks for giving me another chance.
Listen, Governor, I understand. I grew up in Connecticut, so that's why I live in Las Vegas now. So I totally understand.
Don't rub it in, man. Come on.
All right, so let me ask you the big question first, because there are a lot of rumors circulating that Barack Obama is one of the main reasons, who you have a very good relationship with, one of the main reasons why you put your name in the hat, so to speak, to run for president. Is there any truth to that rumor? Have you had talks with Barack Obama about this?
He is a good friend and a political ally and partner as well. But no, this is my decision. I talked to him a lot before I was on the brink of getting in about a year ago, which you may or may not know. I was about 2 or 3 weeks in front of announcing we had a date and a plan and all that, and then my wife was diagnosed with uterine cancer. And that's the sort of thing that just brings your feet back down to earth,
Mm-hmm.
And we thought that the better thing was to pay attention to her and to that. I'm delighted to say that we celebrated 35 years of marriage in May.
Congratulations.
Cancer-free, praise God.
That's great.
And fired up. And, I've continued to look at the field, and I see a path, and if anything, that path is wider than I thought it was. So, no, this is my decision, my family's decision alone.
And congratulations, by the way, on the marriage, and we're very glad your wife is healthy again. That's fantastic to hear, Governor.
Thank you.
Well, let me ask you this then about President Obama. Will he be going on the campaign trail with you anytime soon?
Well, you better ask him that. I don't think it'll be soon because, it'll be I think he wants to wait and should wait, in my view, until we have a nominee. And I want to be that nominee, and I'm working real hard to do that. But no, there's no we have, he talks to me, he talks to all the candidates. Mm-hmm. I will say I haven't talked to him since I've launched, and I didn't talk to him much before I reconsidered and got in because he's been writing his book, and I've been trying to make sure my wife was strong. Absolutely.
That's understandable. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what is transpiring today, Governor. Of course, this is a historic day, and it's probably, I would fair to say, a sad day for the country. Let me ask you this, Governor, because I played some audio of Bill Clinton back in the day apologizing, a heartfelt apology for lying to the country, basically, and misleading the country. And he owned up to what he did. And I respect anybody that owns up to what they did. And the reason why I played that audio is because, with this president, at least in my personal opinion, he never owns up to anything. He doesn't apologize for anything. And that's the correlation and the point I was trying to make. What did you make of the letter he wrote to Nancy Pelosi, number one, and just his demeanor today and his tweet today attacking Democrats?
Well, I think probably I'm like a lot of other citizens who are exhausted by the bluster and the bravado and like a lot of other patriots taking this moment as the sober moment I think it was intended to be, and I commend the members of the Congress who are treating it that way. I get that these jobs as an office holder and as a candidate are a blend of substance and performance art. But to me, what we get more and more is of the performance art and less of the substance. And as a lawyer, there are clearly breaches protocol and because of the law. Mm-hmm. And impeachment is an extreme kind of action that any Congress would take. So I think this is, as you said, I think before I came on, it's a solemn day in the country. It's a solemn period in the country, and be a good thing for us all to take a deep breath and reflect on that, and that there are certain standards and expectations of any office holder, and maybe most especially of the President of the United States, that are at stake right now.
If you're just joining us, he is in the presidential race, running as a Democrat and a former governor, of course, of Massachusetts, Deval Patrick.
Governor, given you mentioned, of course, it is a solemn day. It is something that we should be measured, and we should be, we should take a very level-headed approach to. That being said, I have to get your reaction to that scathing letter that the commander-in-chief sent to the Madam Speaker of the House yesterday, that is just getting absolutely destroyed left and right just in the past 24 hours. Have to get your take on what transpired there.
Well, it shouldn't really surprise us. I mean, it's the latest in a series, but I just don't think that the office of the presidency is a reality TV episode. I think it is. It's a serious job, and it doesn't mean it shouldn't be approached. It's not that I think that the individual should take him or herself seriously, but the work and what you demonstrate, what you model, is serious, and it has a much broader impact on people than one may think. The numbers of people who talk about their interest in public service having been so deeply affected by John Kennedy or by Ronald Reagan, for that matter. That wasn't all about policy. Some of it was about what you modeled as a leader. And I think one of the things that I've been reflecting on the last few years is it turns out that a lot of our democracy depends on unwritten rules, right? Rules around decorum and restraint, and respect, and a sense of duty. We have an opportunity, I think, to think about that, not just in the abstract, but to act on that in this coming election. That's one of the reasons that I'm in the race.
Governor, if you're standing side by side next to Donald Trump on national television in a debate, how do you handle that if he gets personal with you? I remember what Michelle Obama said, they go low, we go high. And my personal opinion on that is I'm not sure that's a winning attitude. That was tried. I hate to say that, but Hillary Clinton tried that and it didn't really work out.
I know.
So how do you handle him, Governor?
I know. Well, listen, I grew up on the south side of Chicago. Frankly, a lot of that time on welfare in a 2-bedroom tenement with my mother and sister and a bunch of other relatives who came and went. And the neighborhood in those days was, we used to rag on each other. You'd have, somebody would say something and you'd come back with something else, and eventually they'd get around to your mama.
Right.
That was we just sort of went at it.
That was the apex.
But it was also a time when every child was under the jurisdiction of every adult on the block.
Right.
And the adults took responsibility for making sure that our home training, as we used to call it, was appropriate and complete, meaning there was some behavior that was appropriate in the neighborhood and with your pals, and some behavior that was appropriate when you were on a larger stage and in a more serious context. So, look, it will be my instinct, I'm sure, to say your mama at some point. But I just don't think that's this shouldn't be about who has the better takedown line.
Right.
I don't feel like I have ever tried to lift myself by tearing anybody else down. And I have a kind of an old-fashioned view of the presidency, maybe, which is that you win your party's nomination, you win the votes you can to win, and that you do to win. But the job is representing everybody: the people who voted for you, the people who didn't, the people who stayed home. It's about seeing and hearing everyone everywhere, and trying to do what you can to help people help themselves.
And I agree. It shouldn't be about the takedown line, but in this day and age where social media is so prevalent, and that when that one statement goes viral, it kind of ends up being the case. I want to talk to you about your politics. What separates your politics from, let's say, a Joe Biden?
Well, I like Joe. In fact, I have I should say the vice president. I like the vice president very much. He was the chair of the Judiciary Committee when I was nominated to head the Civil Rights Division in the Clinton administration. So we've been working together for many, many years. I think that the difference is that I have been an executive and I have had to make some of those hard calls, and I've done the business of building bridges and, in fact, being a bridge. Because I think if you want change that lasts, you've got to bring other people in. So I look at and listen to folks talk about things like healthcare reform, for example. Well, 99% of the people in Massachusetts have healthcare today. That wasn't because I felt like I had a corner on all the best ideas. It's because we brought other people in, and we kept folks at the table because we were refining based on what we were learning as we went. Folks talk about climate change. We have a model response in Massachusetts with a regional cap and trade plan. We use those proceeds to invest in energy efficiency. We have a statewide resilience and recovery plan that we have invested behind. We closed the remaining coal-fired power plants, and we created as we went a new industry and a lot of jobs in solar and wind and energy efficiency. So others talk, I deliver. They have plans, I have results. And that's the difference between me and many of the other candidates in the field.
Governor, I wanted to ask you a little bit about, a friend of the show, and I'm sure you know him very well. He's out there in Massachusetts. That is Seth Moulton. Obviously this man,
good man.
He's a friend of the show. He comes on our show all the time. Very intelligent. He is a war hero. And, and the reason why I bring him up is this, and I hate to bring up Trumpy again, Governor, but I have to.
Mm-hmm.
The day that Seth Moulton decided that he was going to drop out of the presidential race, President Trump decides to take a cheap shot at him, saying, well, who is this guy? And meanwhile, the president is a guy that dodged the military himself. The reason why, and I'm not a Democrat, Governor, I'm not a Republican, I'm an independent, but the reason why I dislike Donald Trump so much has 95% of it has nothing to do with his policy and just as a human being. He goes after a war hero, and this is a guy that dodged the military himself. Now, as someone that is a former governor of Massachusetts yourself, what do you make of Trump going after your friends, in this specific case, a war hero and a great man in Seth Moulton?
Well, Seth is a great man, and he believes, as I do, in this notion of servant leadership. That your role, not just in a job but in life, is to bear your generational responsibility, to do what you can to leave things better for those who come behind you. And I guess the simple answer is that our current president does not believe in that. He believes in celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
Look, when I was governor, it was during a period when the National Guard units of every state were the backbone, or a big part of the backbone, of our activities in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I went to every single funeral of every single guardsman or woman who was lost, and they were remarkable, powerful moments. I didn't speak. I never wanted to, because I didn't want anybody to feel like, this was about calling attention to me. It was just trying to be present and supportive of people who, when they are back home, are in units for which I am the commander in chief. And you'd see folks, young people. You could tell, friends of the lost service man or woman who were confronting death for the very first time. That you'd see children that the lost servicemen and women had never seen of their own, that they'd never met. They were solemn occasions, serious and moving occasions, and never once did I think, am I in the presence of a family that voted for me, or is opposed to me, or is in a what was the vote like in the community where I'm attending this? I never thought about that.
Right,
That's not the point.
Exactly.
It's not the point.
No, and Governor, you talk about people who made the ultimate sacrifice. So I got to get your opinion on this. When Donald Trump Jr. in his book talks about Arlington Cemetery, and then he makes a reference to the sacrifices that his family has had to make to the people that have lost their lives and that are buried at Arlington Cemetery. What is your opinion of that?
Well, look, this isn't this wouldn't be the first time that 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 there was a flawed perspective that came from the president or a member of his family. But I say that humbly. We're all flawed. We're all incomplete. God's not done with me yet, and He is not done with the president and the members of his family. What I don't want to do, and what I don't want the race, is my campaign to be about, is just what's wrong with the incumbent. That list is long,
Right.
but in a way, it's beside the point, because right now, if the character of the candidate is always a question in every one of these cycles, this time it's the character of the country. Because it turns out that what has happened, I think, in the last little while is that we've exposed some unfinished business, right? We've exposed some of it's not just the fact that we're divided, but that it's so easy to divide us because we have a kind of a cartoon view of each other, and we don't take a beat or two to understand each other. We listen to all of these cheery economic indicators, but we forget that, inflation is low as long as you don't count the cost of education, health care, or housing, right? The things that enable you to lift yourself onto a path of economic mobility. Unemployment is low as long as you do count the 2 or 3 minimum wage jobs that you're working in order to survive.
Right.
Governor.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm
No, that's
I'm
okay.
on a rant here.
That's quite all right.
Rants are all right.
Governor, I just wanted to get your opinion. When Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told reporters Tuesday that he will not act as an impartial juror, how did you feel about that?
I felt like I have felt on the eve of the inauguration of Barack Obama, when we had an economic crisis unlike anything we'd seen in a generation or two, and everybody was scrambling to figure out a way to keep us from sliding into a full-on depression, and the response of that same leader was to say that the number one objective of the Republican Party was to make Barack Obama a one-term president. So, folks talk about wanting more Democrats or more Republicans in the Senate or in the House and so on. We could use a few more patriots.
That's right.
Now, Governor, you along with Michael Bloomberg were late entrants in the presidential race. Do you think that Hillary Clinton is going to put her hat in the ring at any point?
I have no idea. I really no idea. I've heard every kind of rumor, but I'm not paying any attention to that.
Understandable.
It is true that the race is wide open.
Mm-hmm.
I'm later, but I'm not late.
Now, I want to I want to ask you this. I think more Democrats need to go on Fox News. And so my question to you is this, just like I think Republicans need to go on MSNBC, right? I thought Hillary Clinton made a mistake. She didn't do shows like the Howard Stern show when she was running. She didn't make appearances on Fox News. I think she made a big mistake doing that. So my question to you is this. Have you requested going on shows like the Sean Hannity show, the Tucker Carlson show, the Laura Ingraham show? Listen, I am not a big supporter particularly of Laura Ingraham or anybody that says white supremacy is a hoax. But with that being said, don't you think it would help you personally to get into a good-spirited debate with one of those hosts on Fox News? Because I personally believe, like I said, more Democrats need to do that.
Yeah, listen, first of all, I'm not. I don't manage that part of the campaign. I don't mind talking to anybody. I don't have a corner. I don't think any one candidate or one party has a corner on all the best ideas. But if it's any place I go, I want it to be about the ideas and not just the entertainment.
Sure.
I have a really good friend I got to know when I worked in Washington in the Clinton administration, who is himself a conservative talk show host, and he had a radio show at the time. I think he's since gone on to do TV. We're not in touch so much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going on his show and talking about what was becoming today's Fox News and the whole genre of so-called right-wing radio and TV.
Yep.
Much of it today, propaganda. Less so then. but
Right.
much of it today.
I agree.
And he said, and I said, how does this happen? How do people just ignore facts and propagate these rumors and takedowns just gratuitous? And he said to me, "You don't understand." He said, "This is entertainment. You think this is about politics. This is entertainment." And I said, "But this is destructive."
It can be.
Democracy.
No, I get your point there. And listen, Governor, you're absolutely right. There are plenty of these shows. All they care about entertainment. They don't care about actually getting factual news out there. I don't disagree. Well, Governor, let me end by saying this. First of all, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And we're very happy to hear that your wife is battled through cancer and she's made it through okay. So, and we have a great, I think I speak for everybody in the studio. We have a great amount of respect for you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully next time you're back in Las Vegas, we can get you in studio. We'd love to have you here.
I was just going to say I much prefer that. Get a chance to look each other in the
I love
eye,
it.
and that way, when I know I'm teasing, I can tell who I'm reaching and who I'm not.
Governor, we're going to take you up on that, sir. Thank you so much again for your time. We appreciate it.
You guys be well.
All right.
Well,
Hey, thanks a lot, Governor.
Merry Christmas. Thank you. All right, there you go. Former governor of Massachusetts, Deval Patrick, in the presidential race. We're going to take a quick break. We'll take your calls when we come back. 702-257-5396. Be back right after this.